All right. Aloha, everyone, in another level living land. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Freedom Fridays. So happy that you're here because we are in store for an amazing treat. Our guest today, she's going to be sharing with us 5 rules on how to have effective conversations. And I want y'all to give Jackie Bailey a warm welcome. Everyone say hello, give her some hearts because she is really amazing. Before I tell you about Jackie, I want to share with you, why are we here? What is the point of this show? It's all about supporting you as the entrepreneur in achieving success in business and life harmony. Because it really is 2 sides of the same coin. We never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it is possible to work smarter, not harder, stress less, strengthen our relationships, and lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum so that we can create our own, this is my favorite part, our own time, money, and emotional freedom. And of course, with ease and grace, right? With ease and grace. That's what it's all about. So why is that something that's so important? It's about being able to create peace on all sides so that you can show other people how to do the same and have total exponential acceleration and growth. So let me tell you who Jackie is, okay? Jackie, she said, or says, don't tell anyone, silenced Jackie Bailey at the age of 8. And 15 years later, she saved another child by speaking up. Known as the International Conversation Coach, Jackie inspires clients to break their silence and become victorious over trauma. Today, she is the founder and executive director of the Speak, Feed, Lead project, which has empowered hundreds of children, teens, and adults with confidence, courageous conversations shared on global stages, competitions, podcasts, and books. She is really a sister from another mister and a woman after my own heart. So we're going to be blessed today with this presence, okay? And the nuggets that she's going to share with us. So make sure you get your pen and your paper out, ready to receive. Jackie, welcome so much. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, Heather. It is delightful to be here. I admire everything you're doing. It's fabulous work. And, when I came into the meeting this morning and the password was freedom, I'm like, yes, freedom. That's what I feel like I need today. Freedom. So it was awesome. Thank you for the little lift.
Oh, you're totally welcome. Totally my honor and pleasure. And that's what we're here for. I think that big word chumped up is what really brought us to connect, right? Because you're showing people how to be free, how to be able to share their voice, share their message, and become empowered and step into their own freedom. So that's just incredible. Can you share with us first, before we even get into it, what led you to this amazing work and why is it something that's so important?
Well, as you read in my introduction, I was a child of abuse, chronic throughout my childhood, from probably as early as age 8, all through my teenage years. And I was silenced. I was told not to tell. I was taught to lie. And there was really no one who was looking out for me but me. And I had to try to survive on my own. And today, after having healed from all of that and done the work necessary to heal from it, I now realize that many of our children, if not all of them, are silenced in so many ways. We saw evidence of that through the pandemic when they were taken out of their regular routines, school, social activities with friends, extracurricular activities in sports, drama, you name it. And they were silenced in a lot of ways, and we're trying to come back out of that. So my mission with the Speak, Feed, Lead project is to help children feel power to speak up and to speak out about whatever it is they want to say, and have them know that they're being seen, they're being heard, and they are respected for the perspectives that they have, and they are brilliant. But I work with adults as well, because many adults have been silenced. We still have that little child inside of us that is saying, don't speak up. Shh, you're going to look like an idiot. Don't say anything. You're going to be fired, and all those things. And so we are still silenced in a lot of ways. So I work with adults as well.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I have to give you a heart, because another heart. These are big hearts coming out today. I don't know what's going on, because it is when you were speaking, it was one of those the the thing that had came to me was we grew up in eras and even now where children are seen and not heard. Right. And so being able to show them how to be seen, heard, and felt is something that's so profound because that will create how amazing they become as an adult. And
Yeah.
what's really cool is also working with adults is that you help them be able to redefine and expand their vision for the future and really be able to break free. Like it was interesting. I posted on my social media, I don't know when this was, maybe a couple of days ago, that if we don't heal what hurt us, we'll bleed over people who don't deserve it. Right.
Uh,
And so while there's a great need for healing and transformation and expression. So I love all that you're doing. So this is really cool. So now tell us, right? What are these 5 rules? How can we be able to have more effective needed conversations?
yes. And, conversations are the important part to healing. I discovered that in my own healing is breaking the silence to me meant I need to have a conversation and tell somebody what had happened to me, right? Because there was another child in danger and I needed to do that. I was compelled to do it. Conversations also, I believe, and I have no factual data that says this, but I believe conversations will decrease the amount of young people taking their own lives because they are doing so, I believe, because they are not feeling heard and they don't feel like they have anyone that they can share those feelings with. So a conversation would be important there. I also believe lack of conversations is the reason that we have broken relationships. And that could be marriages, but it could also be at work or friendships. So conversation is vital. And there are effective ways to do it. And there are ineffective ways to do it. And since the advent of social media, there's been a lot of ineffectiveness when it comes to conversations because we have these devices that put up this wall or this barrier between us and this person that we might be talking to. So I'm going to share with you 5 really easy to implement rules that if you apply, you're going to see almost immediately the difference in the way that you communicate and engage with people. And I teach these 5 rules to the youngest students I work with, which are age 10. They get it and they apply them and they come back to me with such good reports about making new friends or having great conversations with their parents that they never thought they could. And so I know it works. All
Oh
right.
my gosh,
So
wait,
here,
before you get into this, I just have to let you know how excited I am, right? Because you're right. When you held up your phone and when you mentioned this, my background is in human computer interaction, how we interact with computers. So I
mm,
started seeing, like, even before cell phones got really big, the disconnect that has happened in our communications and our relationships. And you're bringing it back like, no, we will have these conversations and they will be awesome and that will lead to healing. Okay, so I just
there
had
we
to put
go.
that in there, how excited I am. I got my pen
Absolutely.
ready. So tell me, what's the first one?
Rule number 1, address the person you want to talk to by name. So you use their name. In other cases, you might use their title if you don't know their name, but doctor, madam, sir, professor, whatever. If you know a title or if you know their name, address them by name. And I teach the kids to do this because they might walk into the kitchen where either mom or dad is making a meal and they just go, "Hey, what are we having?" Juxtapose that to, "Hey, mom, what delicious meal are you making tonight?" Right? There's a difference in the way mom or dad is going to react to the start of that conversation. So addressing someone by name, and Dr. Dale Carnegie, in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, he said that our names are the sweetest sound in any language. So each individual, whether we know it consciously or not, when someone uses our name to address us, we feel acknowledged, we feel validated and liked. So it's really important. The foundation for setting the stage to a good conversation is to use the person's name. Okay?
Oh, good and powerful. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Can I just say that my son, so these kids, right? They eat all the
Yes.
time, always hungry. I'm going to make sure he looks at this video so he knows that first part because it's always what's for dinner. And before we even get started in the day.
Right, right, exactly. And I tell the kids, imagine you're walking through the mall and you hear this voice behind you going, "Hey, hey, 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 you. Well, you might turn around just because you're curious, but there's going to be this uneasy feeling. Something might, icky might be going down, right? But if someone is saying, "Hey, Heather, Heather," even before you turn around, there's a different feeling. It's like somebody knows me. And so you're more happy to turn around because you recognize there is someone who's not a stranger calling you out, right? So it does make a difference.
I love that. I love that. Okay, awesome. What's
All right.
number two? Rule number
Rule
two.
number two is with the same objective of making this person feel acknowledged and validated, you want to make eye contact with them. And I was just talking to Joseph McGuire yesterday, who is a specialist in the field of facial profiling, if you will. He's done some training with the same people who've taken FBI training on how to read faces and even shapes of heads. And so eyes, he reiterated, are the windows to the soul. And so when you look at someone and you make eye contact with them in a meaningful way, you can read a lot from the type of personality or attitude they might have that day. You're going to get a sense of, is this person happy, sad, are they excited about something when you look at their eyes? And he says, look for the warmth feeling, look for the openness, and that's the type of person that you can engage further. But if they are a little bit dark or hardened in through their eyes, it might be a sign that this isn't the time to have a meaningful conversation. So making eye contact. Again, it's not a staring competition, but acknowledging that this is the person you're going to focus on for the next few minutes or seconds, and you've used their name and now you're looking at them. It helps them to recognize you're sincere in your desire to learn something about them. Okay, so that is rule number two, making eye
Well,
contact.
well, let me tell you what the word that came was presence power, right? By looking them in their eyes, by basically being able to let them know, hey, I'm here to have a conversation. It just activates that importance feeling of just the whole situation. It sets it up, the conversation up for total success.
It
Yeah.
does. And now that we're all in these online worlds, it makes it a little bit counterintuitive to make eye contact with people online because to do so, you actually can't be looking at them.
So true.
In other words, when you want to connect with somebody online, you have to be looking at the camera on your device because that's going to make them feel as though you are looking at them. Now, when they're talking, certainly you can look at their video, but when you are talking to an individual or a group, while you're doing so, you want to be looking at the camera of your device, which means it needs to be at eye level to you so that it feels natural when you're looking in that direction. So just a little bit of a tip there as far as
And no, that's actually a perfect tip because this is something that's also crucial for videos. For those of you who are entrepreneurs who are called to do videos, it's about looking and having that connection there, not at you at the screen or anything else, but directly so people can be able to feel your soul through your eyes. Oh, I love it.
Absolutely. That means you have to be a little more prepared too if you're doing some sort of a promo and you feel like you've got to read a script. Well, it's challenging because if someone seems to feel that you're reading, it puts up that same sort of wall that a cell phone does. So you have to be really careful with that. And as much as possible, talk from the heart and just look at the camera as you're making those videos. So
Get out of your head, step into your heart. I don't even know if that's a rule, but we're adding
I
it to
like
there.
it. I like it.
Awesome.
All
Awesome,
right, so
Jackie. Three.
address them by name, make eye contact, and then a conversation is not a conversation until you ask questions. But now, questions are pretty ambivalent because there are bad questions or there are questions that are worded in a not so helpful way. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
When I was about 14 and I was in the midst of this abuse that I told you about, my mother came into my bedroom one night as if we were going to have a heart to heart conversation, which we never did. But she sat on the edge of my bed and she asked me a question. Yay for mom, but here's how she asked it. Jackie, are you letting someone do something to you they shouldn't be?
Mm.
Now, what that did for me is it told me I was letting this abuse happen, and no way was I going to confess that to my mom because I wouldn't want anybody to know how ugly I was if I'm letting this happen. So the way she asked that question shut me down. It did not invoke in me a desire to share with her what was happening to me. So the way we ask questions and the types of questions we ask are very, very important. Let me give you another example. Parents, how many times have you done this? No guilt. I'm just pointing out something that I've observed. Hey, honey, how was your day? Right?
Hmm.
Someone in your presence, you're on your phone, you're sending a text, but you're asking the person in your presence a question. They know you're not listening to them. And so they're not going to be answering you. And especially if it's a question like, how was your day? That is so general. And we say it to be courteous, but we really don't expect this long soliloquy of what happened in their day. So if you want to actually sincerely find out how someone is doing, you might say something like, "It's wonderful to see you, Jerry," or whoever you're talking to. What's been the best part of your day so far? That gives them an opportunity to think about it, and then Jerry goes, "Oh, the best part was da 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 da." That leads to more in the conversation than when you say, "How was your day?" and the typical person is going to say, "Fine." And it ends
Yes.
right there, right? So you want to ask questions sincerely and with curiosity so that you will invoke in the person you're talking to the desire to tell you more and know that you're listening to them. So you've got to be making that eye contact as you're asking that question.
Oh,
Okay,
so good. Oh,
that's
so
rule
good.
three.
Okay. Okay.
Now, rule four, then, after you've spewed something out of your mouth, now you need to go to these organs on the side of your head. There's two of those, which means you should be listening twice as much as you're talking. And I say listen for rule number four is listen for key words. Listen for key words. And what I mean by that is when Jerry, we'll keep with that example, is replying to you and telling you about the best part of his day, he's going to either share some nouns, which are people, places, or things, or he's going to be either stating an emotion or you're going to be able to see some sort of emotion that he's talking with as he's sharing the story. So emotions or nouns are two types of keywords that I encourage people to listen for so that they can use those in their reply. So if Jerry said, the best part of my day was I got to have lunch with my best friend, Sally. Now you can pick up on Sally, you can pick up on lunch, you can pick on the word best because that denotes an emotion that Jerry felt about meeting Sally. He
Right.
must like Sally, right? So you could reply to Jerry, what did you have for lunch? Or why did you enjoy so much with Sally? Or when did you last time you saw Sally? Or what did you and Sally talk about? Or you could say, sounds like you were really excited to see Sally. Why is she such a great friend of yours? Right? So there's ways that you can lead into more of a response using their own language that again is going to validate for them that you heard them, that you were sincerely listening and you do want to know more.
So
Okay?
good. So good.
So listen for keywords, which I say are usually nouns or emotions.
Because a lot of times people just listen to respond or
Mhm.
just listen at a surface level. And you're
Right.
showing us how to be able to allow the conversation to go deeper, break free from these surface level conversations to real, powerful, transformational conversations and just
Absolutely.
everyday life. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah,
good.
because maybe a typical response to Jerry going, I got to have lunch with my best friend Sally. Maybe if we're not really interested in Jerry, we might respond with, oh, yeah, I had a pretty good lunch too. And we turn it back to us. That's human nature, right? And we sometimes we have great news to share and we want to share it so badly. And so we ask a question to someone to set up our own opportunity to share our great news. That's not going to build in that other person a strong, sincere relationship. And so if you can just hold off and listen sincerely to what they have to say first, they will eventually come back and say, so what did you do for lunch? And you'll have that opportunity to share.
It's
Okay. But
like
that,
patience is the word that's coming in that case. Like that patience of just everything, patience and enjoy and presence and enjoying the conversation and allowing it to naturally be this ebb and flow.
It is, and it will become more natural to you. As you start applying these rules, you do have to think about it a little bit, but as you do it more and more, you're going to see such a remarkable difference in the way that you're engaging with people that it's going to start being more natural for you. You don't have to think about it anymore. Okay?
So good. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so excited to hear what's number 5. Rule number 5.
Rule number 5 is it's less than a rule than it is the reason for all of the 4 rules before that. It's a philosophy, and it is a philosophy you can apply to anything in life. Okay? So rule number 5 is it's not about you. It's not about you. So when you're having a conversation with someone, the objective is not, as I said before, to share your wonderful news or to, tell them about this marvelous thing you just did. It is to legitimately and sincerely want to know more about this person that you're talking to. Because what's the point? If you're really not interested, what's the point anyway, right? Because you're probably doing more damage by going, "Hey, how was your day?" than if you just didn't say anything at all. Right? Because the person that you're asking with that phone is a barrier. They know you're not listening to them. But if you don't say anything, well, at least there's not the danger of she's not listening to me. They might say, well, she doesn't talk to me that much. It's a different issue. But when you make it about the other person, now Dale Carnegie said this. He gave this cute little story about when he was a boy, he loved to go fishing. Mm-hmm. But he also loved strawberries and cream. That was his favorite dessert. He said, but if I went fishing and tried to use strawberries and cream on the hook that I baited for the fish, because that's what I liked, well, they wouldn't bite. I had to use what they wanted, which was grasshoppers, worms, and so forth. Of course, we don't fish for people, but he was using that as a metaphor to say, we need to be willing to give other people what they want before we get what we want, because we will eventually get what we want by doing so. And so by making it about them and not about you, that's how you win friends, and that's how you win customers, and that's how you build relationships with everybody, because they know you're sincerely interested in them. And it will also increase your memory, I think, because you'll be able to remember those key words in that conversation, and maybe you make notes later. Oh yeah, we talked about his lunch with Sally and he likes Italian food, or whatever. So those are the things that we can do, generally speaking, to have an effective conversation, building business relationships, client relationships, personal relationships, and also improving our memory about people as well. So there you go.
Oh my gosh, all of the value. That is so amazing. And as you were talking, what came to me towards the end was this part about, even a lot of times where there's this resistance or uncertainty or fear as entrepreneurs for sales conversations, which I like to call serving conversations, because it really is about showing up and being all about them and just being detached from, what the outcome is, but showing up in service, things will come to you as a natural byproduct. Right. So, wow, this was so good. Okay, so I want everybody to put in the comments below which one was the rule that spoke mostly to you. Address the person by name, eye contact, make sure you have eye contact, asking the right questions, listening with your 2 ears, listening for the keywords and the key phrases. And or number 5, it's not about you. So I want to be able to hear from you and let us know what that is. And then Jackie, what is, as we reflect on all this, what is probably one of the biggest things that you want to leave us with remembering about this conversation?
Thank you for that question, because even though these are rules of one-on-one conversation, these same rules are applied if you are a speaker or an entrepreneur or a coach or trainer. These same rules are applied. So let's take it onto a stage. How do you address the person you're speaking to by name? Well, when you've got 100 or 1,000 people in an audience in front of you, you need to know who they are, generally speaking. If you're talking to a group of dog groomers, you address them that way. If you're speaking to a group of speakers, coaches, course creators, whatever, that's how you address them. And they then know that you know who they are. All right. So find out who your audience is going to be. And when you walk out on that stage, you want to address them somehow. Secondly, making eye contact. Now, again, if there's 100 or 1,000 people, you can't look at every single person in the audience. But as you're telling your story or giving the information that you're providing, it is important that you do make eye contact with several people throughout that presentation. If it's a live audience, I would pick maybe 10 people in the first 3 rows, and I would spend maybe 10, 15 seconds looking at one person and giving them an important point. And then I would go to the next person and look at them for 10 or 15 seconds and give them an important point. So eye contact is possible with a large audience.
Nice.
And when you are doing that with a few people, the audience will feel like you're doing that to them as well. Okay. Now, asking questions. This goes back to knowing who your audience is. You need to look at the website of the people you're talking to. For instance, if it's a corporate situation or a national organization or something, what's their mission statement? What are they out to do, or what changes are they creating in the world? You want to ask them rhetorical questions that they can say yes to. And it might be simply like, as you're asking it, raising your hand and asking them to raise their hand if it's a yes. And then you can really get an idea of who that applies to in the audience and who it doesn't. So that's helpful as a speaker as well. So asking questions in a rhetorical sense, using the verbiage that is familiar to them in their medium. Okay. And then listening is the same thing. You can't necessarily listen unless you're having a question and answer, which that's obvious, but you can give them keywords that again coincide with who they are and what they hope to get while they're there. When you intersperse words and phrases that you know is going to get their attention, then you're using that same rule. You're applying it in the way that you can use nouns and emotions that are going to connect with them. So that's another way to apply the keyword rule.
Nice.
And then again, number 5, it's not about you. When you are a speaker or a trainer or an entrepreneur, everything you say needs to be about them. Now, you can tell your personal stories and you can give your experiences and the things that you've learned, but you have to at some point turn it back to them and let them know how relevant what you've just said is to their problem or to their specific situation. And that's how you make it about them and not about you. So those same rules can all be applied on a stage.
That's so good. Because you know what that does is it builds the know, like, and trust factor. It creates the rapport, the synergy, the impact and the influence of even the words that you say are just even more powerful. And then it makes them feel, by you connecting with them, makes them feel like easier to connect with you, like they already know you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They will feel that you're likable, you're approachable, and you get them. And if you're trying to sell something from the stage, which many of us do, that's going to be your best opportunity, is when you've connected with them, even in a large room like that. And by applying those 5 rules, you're going to be more likely to do that.
Oh my gosh, this was so good and so amazing. How can we get our audience stay connected to you, get to know you? Do you have anything that you want to give us as a gift or anything?
I do. I have an eBook workbook, more or less. It contains a little bit of my story. It's called How to Save Your Silenced Child. And like I said, it goes into a little bit about how I was silenced and how a lot of us are silenced. And it really dives into how do you have those meaningful conversations when your kid won't talk to you? Because I get this a lot from parents. What do I do? My kid doesn't talk to me. So this was sort of an answer to that, is how do you draw your child? And because we're all young at heart, it's not just about children, but it's about other people. How do you draw them out from their silenced places and get them to feel comfortable around you, go into their world a little bit so that you can really touch their hearts and help them to feel more loved in themselves. So it is called How to Save Your Silenced Child, and that child could be you. So it's a quick little read, but it will give you some suggestions about better conversation skills, which are the key to everything.
Oh, Jackie, thank you so much. And everyone who's listening, I'm going to make sure I put the link to be able to get that ebook in the comments below. So make sure you download it there. Jackie, this is something that's awesome, because when there's more life harmony, what you're showing us about strengthening the connection there, it actually makes business harmony such a breeze. So this has been absolutely amazing. I want everyone to put in the comments, what is your biggest takeaway? Thanks so much for blessing our stage, Jackie, today. It's been absolutely amazing. And everyone out there, make sure you meditate and marinate on this. Start taking action, implementing these rules right away, and just see how your relationships and all your connections change.
Yes. Thank you, Heather, for the conversation. You did a delightful job.
Oh, totally my honor and pleasure. Thank you so much. This is my my desire is to inspire, and so I bring amazing people who have totally inspired us, like you, and so we all leave better, and we're just so grateful. Make sure that you get connected with Jackie so she can be able to continue and show you how to do this mission even better. And everyone in Another Level Living Land, we look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Freedom Fridays, and have an amazing rest of the day. Bye, everyone.